Hello, my name is John Slankus, and thank you for watching this video as part of the Laboratory for Analytical Sciences 2027 Call for Abstracts. Agents have taken the IT world by storm during the first half of 2026. We've seen the remarkable progress of coding agents, revolutionizing the software development field more in this time frame than probably the last 25 years since when agile software development methodologies first began to gain traction. We've also seen the emergence of general purpose agents through tools such as Claude Code, Claude Desktop, OpenClaw, and Hermes. These agents provide expanded capability over chat-based AI interfaces through the capability to access memory, reason based upon a provided goal, and then decide upon a given tool to take some form of an action. This process then repeats in a loop until the given goal is achieved. At LAS now, we're looking at how we can incorporate these agentic capabilities and make them available in tools to our intelligence analysts. For 2027, we have three main overarching areas. The first, agentic skills, looks at how we can leverage skills into agent-based harnesses to extend their capabilities. The agent becomes the central point of integration in this model. Our analysts have access to numerous tools and processes already, but how do we extend that capability to agents acting on their behalf? We need to keep humans in control of this process, as well as adhere to the numerous and required policies that operate within their environment. Next, we have to evaluate how well these agents perform on a given task. Numerous ways already exist to do this: token usage, tool calls, wall clock time. But given the nearly infinite number of possible outputs, we also need some way to evaluate the actual result itself. We also want to look at how we can use that result to have the agents, perform self-improvement processes. And this, again, most likely will require some form of using the LLM as a judge. And in the last area, we need to look at how we can push these capabilities to the edge. In such a deployment scenario, we may not have access to the latest frontier models and only consumer level GPU devices. In other words, smaller models. In this distributed fashion, how can we triage data and continue to keep the environment current? We're also looking at eight specific capabilities of interest. Very much aligned with those areas. How do we integrate skills and command line tools into agentic frameworks? How do we best allow non-technical individuals the ability to author, configure, and manage skills for these agents? How do we keep humans in the loop as most appropriate? And how do we develop secure runtiming for these agents? Agents have access both to powerful tools as well as, in many cases, the ability to examine the current execution environment. This gives them, basically the power basically to read anything and to do anything within that environment. How do we safely limit that and basically and keep the agent contained as much as needed? We also need to look at automated valuation. As I mentioned, within the areas, it's nearly impossible to judge the correctness of an output given the wide variety of possibilities. What are the appropriate ways we can hand that judgment off to another large language model for evaluation? In addition to that third area, to further delineate that, we've got a couple of things we have to look at. One is how do we actually execute agents optimally at the edge when that environment is constrained, whether that's, the network or device sizes. And then, when we execute at this edge, what does it mean to operate distributively as well as possibly in a disconnected fashion? And then finally, in the last item, we have to look at how we manage many different things. I'm calling this agentic tool use and stateful memory management, but this also basically looks at, we could have a large number of tools. We have to manage the memory. We have different layers of that memory to access. How do we basically put all these things together in the optimal fashion? Very much appreciate your attention today. Please reach out via email to lasoutreach@ncsu.edu with any questions you may have, and we very much look forward to reading your abstracts. And finally, I'd be remiss to add, if I did not add, how rapidly changing this area is. It's become nearly impossible to stay current on AI advances here in 2026. If you do have ideas or capabilities that are not directly mentioned, and please feel free to reach out to us for further discussion. Thank you.